Welcome back to this lecture. So in this lecture we're going to start creating the hex color generator application. So let me show you the application that we're going to build in this particular module. So you can see this is the application. It has this rounded card and then we have this particular container in which you can see the color code of the hex is actually defined, means this 6-digit hexa color is defined. So if I click on this generate color button, then you can see it's actually randomly generating a new color that you can use inside your projects. So the concept that I have taught you in the previous module, means the previous project, will be used inside this particular project. So make sure you complete the previous project means perfectly, because I am going to use the all logical stuff inside this particular hex color generator application. Instead of that, I am going to quickly complete the code step by step rather than explaining the code in more detail. Okay, the first step is we need to start with the HTML part of this hex color generator application. So now you can see I have already created the HTML file inside the Visual Studio Code for the HTML part of the hex color generator application. Also I have linked my style.css file and the script.js file. So you can see these are the files are also created for the project. And I have already added the boilerplate code inside this particular application and launched the application inside the web browser. So you can see now the first thing is we need to create the container for the application. So what I mean is, if I show you the final application, this is a main container. Inside this particular h1 element, then this color container, and then this button is placed. So we need to create first this container. So for that we need to use the container. So I'm going to here name the as container and I'm pressing the tab key. Instead of that, first we need to provide the h1 element that is going to save the like a hex color. So after specifying the color hex generator, now you can see if I control save it, then you can see the content is now visible inside the browser screen. Then we need to here add a color box container, which is this color box. This is one. So for that we need to add here a class name, which is my color hyphen box. And then this is going to display the color. Inside of that we need to place a span element, which is a span tag, and then we are going to display our default color, which is hashtag 6xF for the white color. And this is going to have an ID, which is the color text. So here we need to add the ID name, which is color text. Okay, or I can use a camel case typing for the ID name. And then also we need to specify a ID name to this color box. So ID, and then the ID is going to be like color box. Okay. So this will be the color box and this will be the text will be appear inside this span element. And after that we need to place the button. So outside of this div tag we need to place here a button. So when we click on the button, we want to generate the color randomly. So this button is going to have an ID, which is like generate btn. And instead of that we need to display the text, which is generate color. So you can see now the span element and also the generate color button is appeared inside the web browser. Okay, so that's it for the HTML part of the hex color generator. So our next step is to start with the CSS part. So for the CSS part of this hex color generator application, we need to use the style.css file. So inside of this style.css file, first we need to add some code inside the body element. So I'm going to select here a body. Inside of that I will be using here a display property, which is going to be a flex. You can even use a previous approach. First you can just simply reset the default styling of the browser, because in previous project we have reset the universal selector, which is the padding and margin. Right now this is actually a simple container appeared inside the center of the screen. So that is the reason I am actually not using the universal selector here. So I have actually used a different approach. It's totally up to you what particular approach you want to use. So justify content, and then here we need to add here a center, and after that I will be using here a line items. So line items is also going to be the center. Then you can see the content is actually appeared inside the center of the screen. Then here we'll be using a background color. So background color is going to like hashtag F2 and F2. If I control save it, then you can see the nice grayish color in the background of the web page. And then we need to use the font size. So font size I will be using not a font size, it's actually a font family. So font family I will be using here Arial font, which is this one. If I control save it, so now you can see the font is actually changed. Okay, so that is for the body element. Now the next step is we need to provide the code for the container, and then inside of that we need to add the text align property. So text align is going to be the center of the screen. So you can see now the text, all of the elements is now at the center of the container. And then I will be adding the background color to the container. So background color is going to be like white. So you can see now the white color is applied to the container. Next we need to add the padding. So padding is not auto, it is going to be like padding. From all sides it's going to be 30 pixel. Then you can see the inner padding of the container is actually increased. Then into add the box shadow property. So it is going to be like 0 pixel, then 0 pixel, and then the blurriness is going to be like 20 pixel. And then we need to provide here a RGBA function, which is going to be like 0, 0, 0, and 0.2. If I control save it, then you can see there is a box shadow in the container is appeared. And then we need to add the border radius. So border radius is from all sides going to be like 10 pixel. You can see it's actually now working. One important property another I want to give inside the body is the height property. So height is going to be like 100 VH. Now you can see the container is at the center of the screen. So the next step is to start with the styling the container. Okay, so for that again here we need to use the color box container, which is the color box. Provide the width and height. So width is going to be like 300 pixel, and then we need to provide the height. So height is going to be like 150 pixel. Then you can see the height is also increased, and then we need to add here a background color. So background color by default I want to add here FF. That will be displayed once we load the page. So by default it's going to show the color. Okay, so now we need to also set this text to be appeared at the center of the container, which is a color box container right now. Then we need to add the border radius property. It is going to 8 pixel. And after that we need to add the margin property. So margin from top and bottom is going to be like 20 pixel, and from left and right it is going to auto. And after that we need to add the font. So font is going to like font weight. I will be using here a bolder one. You can see the font weight is increased. Then we need to add the display property flex. So flex, and then we need to add a justify content, which is going to be the center. And then I will be adding here a line items, which is at the center. Okay, so that's for the display property. Now the text is actually appeared at the center of the screen. Then we need to add another property, which is the box shadow, to this color box container. So box shadow, like if I just simply copy this box shadow to save a little bit of the time, box shadow, because our box shadow is already same, just only the blurriness is going to be like 6 pixel, and this property is 3 pixel. Node 3 BBA, it is 3 pixel, and it is going to be like 0.1. If I save it, then you can see there is a nice box shadow appeared to the color box container as well. So the next step is we need to change the style for this color text. So we have applied only one selector, which is the ID selector. So here we will be using the color. So this is the color text, and inside of that I will be first using the font size to 24 pixel. Okay, now you can see the font size is actually increased, and then we need to add the another property, which is the color property. So I'm going to just change the color to little lighter than the black color. Okay, and after that we need to add the code for the button. So this is our button, and then we have another code which is like button. Then we need to use the hover state of the button as well. Okay, so this one is going to have background color like hashtag. If I save it, then you can see the color of the button is changed in the hover state. Then we need to change the default style of the button. So the first we need to change the background color. So background color is going to like hashtag 3 times 3. Then we need to add the color. So color is going to like FF, FF, and this will be the color. Then we need to add the border. So border is going to be like none, and then we need to add the border radius property. So border radius is going to 4 pixel. And after that we need to add the padding property. So padding is going to 10 pixel from top and bottom, and from left and right it is going to 20 pixel. Alright, and after that we need to increase the font size. Font size is going to 16 pixel, and then also we need to change the cursor to pointer, and then there should be a transition for the background color. Background, and it is going to be color, and it is going to be 0.3s. It is actually is. If I save it, and you can see now the color of the button change when we hover over it with the nice little transition. Okay, so that is for the CSS part of the hex color generator application. So our next step is to start with the JavaScript part. So for the JavaScript part, we need to use the script.js file. Inside of the script.js file, first we need to get the reference to this particular button, which is this ID, and then we also need to get the reference to this particular text and also the color box. So we need to get the reference to three elements, which is the color box, color text, and this particular button. So at the top I'm going to write here a const generate btn, and then here we're going to use the get, not get, it is document dot get element by id, and then here we need to specify the id name. One thing is, notice here I'm not using the query selector, I'm actually using the get element by id, so I just only need to copy the id name. If we are using the get query selector, means document dot query selector, then you need to also place the hash symbol as well. So this is now the button id is fetched. Similarly, we need to fetch the id of the other two elements, which is the color box and the color text. So it is like color box, and this is our color text, and then we need to provide the corresponding id. So this is actually a color box, so this is color box, and then again come back to the color text. So this is the color text, and then we need to provide here a color text. Then we need to add a listener to this particular generate button. So for that we need to actually use here a generate btn dot add event listener. So we want to handle the click listener, so here we need to provide the click, and after that we need to call here a function, so which is like update color. Okay, so we need to create this update color function. So update color function. Also we need to provide the function keyword. So inside of this, it is actually going to be responsible for the updation of the color. Alright, and then we need to actually cut these two lines of the code from here and paste it inside the function, because we don't want to use it globally. Okay, and then removing the extra spaces here, and then here this particular function is responsible for the generation of the color. So the first thing is we need to create another function, which is like our if I just say at the top here, if I just create it like, it doesn't matter if you created the function at the bottom, if you are not using the taking care of the scopes of the functions. So here I will be using the generate random color, so the function that we have created in the previous project. So I already told you. So if I just completely go back, and here if I come back to color to click to change color bg, so here I have created this particular generate random color. So this is the function I have used. So here this is because it is also a hex color generator application to use the same code. So I'm going to copy this function from here, collapsing it and also closing this file from here, and coming back to the script.js, which is the hex color script.js, and at the top I'm going to paste this function code here. That is why in the beginning of the video I told you to first develop the background color changer application, then come back to this hex color code generator application, because it is going to use the same concept that I told you in the previous lecture, or I can say that the previous module. So you can see it has the same code, just we have created the constant letters, which is the 16 constants, or you can say that the 16 characters that are used for the generation of the hex color code. Then we are using the color variable to store the hash character, and this particular loop is used to actually generate these 6 random characters that will be assigned to this color variable along with these particular hash character, and then it's going to return a color variable. Now we need to use this function inside this update color function, and then instead of that I need to create a variable which is of type const, then random color is equal to get random color function that we have already created. And after that we need to change the color of this particular box, which is the color box. So we need to set the value, means we need to call here a color box dot style. So we're going to style the color box by using the JavaScript properties. So we want to change the background color. So here we are actually going to use the background color property, and then we need to assign the random color variable value, which is this particular one. After that we also need to actually set the text as well. So here we need to call the color text dot txt content, because it is a span element, so it has a txt content property, which is a text content, is equal to, and after that we need to provide here a random color, because the random color has a 6 character value along with the hash symbol. Okay, so we have set the listener to the button. If we save the code and if I click on this generate random color button, then you can see the color of the color box is now changed, and also the text is also updating, which indicating the name of this particular color, which actually giving you the hex code of this particular color. So if it is like this particular grayish color, then you have this particular hash code you need to use for the generation of the color. Okay, so that marks the completion of the code for this hex color generator application. So if you like this entire course, then please leave a review. Okay, so thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you.